What's up guys, MikeCoco back here, bringing guys a new video on more or less the mechanics of Legion, and this is going to be more of a technical video, and it's just going to focus on the mechanics behind Legion of Heroes debuff system. So a while back my guildmate Rome's was talking about how defense debuffs don't apply or don't seem to work in Mythic, and I was inclined to agree with him when I was um, testing it for the first time. So what I was using was a Jester who's a spear user, because spears have pretty much consistent damage, and I was applying one defense debuff and then two and then three, or in the first test I only applied one, and that's pretty much why I failed. So I'm gonna see if I can get a alright, so I'm gonna put in Jester, and I have defense debuffers. I have DK, EK, and Janet, and I'm gonna bring in another spear user just in case. I'll bring in Daphne, cause I don't know. Neff is too inconsistent in my opinion, because her crit buff means that some turns she'll crit and some turns she won't, which it'll just mess up the results in general. So I'm just gonna not use Neff. So what I'm gonna be showing you is what happens when you deal damage with no defense or no defense debuff, and then with one, and then with two. And alright, so let's just draw aggro away from the people I'm testing from. Okay, so I'm gonna use Jester's skill and just look at the or take note of his damage without defense debuff. So that was around 4,700, and we can use Daphne's too. It doesn't really matter. So that's 9,600 per hit. I'm not gonna multiply it or whatever. And okay, so I'm gonna apply one defense debuff, which is DK's, and I believe it's 50%. Yeah, it's a 50% debuff, and we'll see what happens after. And hopefully nobody kills those two heroes. Alright, so everything's perfectly fine. Alright, now I'm going to use Jester's skill again. Remember, his last hit was 4,700. So, at this point, you should still hit 4,700, as expected. And this is where I finished the testing. I was being lazy, and I'm like, you know what, defense debuffs don't work at all in Mythic Raid. And I thought it was a bug at first. And I can show you with Daphne too. It's going to hit 9,600 as well. Well, of course she would crit. But assuming that it didn't crit, it would have been 9,600. So now I'm going to apply two defense debuffs. Actually, I'll use EKs. And skip the turn. And then now I will use Jester's skill and Daphne's skill, and you can take a look at how much damage they do. Now, once two defense debuffs are applied, Jester will deal more damage. And I think it'll be around 20,000. Yeah, so as you can see there, a huge spike from 4,700 to 21,000. And take a look at Daphne. Hopefully it crits again, so we can actually measure the crit damage. So it doesn't crit, but as you can see, it deals 44,000 with two defense debuffs. Now I don't know if anything will change with three. I might try that a little bit later, but I gotta heal first because these guys are all absolutely wrecking. This is one problem with testing in Mythic Raid. Although Mythic Raid is a very good benchmark, you can die very easily, you know. So I'm just gonna get rid of some of these people and attack debuff. Now it's almost getting hard to see the damage because of all the crap there. So alright, so now there's no defense debuffs. I'll test Daphne again. It should be around 9,600 as long as the thing doesn't troll me and Daphne crits again, which would not be good. Alright, please don't crit. and it should be 9600. Yeah, so there you go, 9600, and that's with one defense debuff. So as you can see, with one defense debuff, it is pretty much useless. You need to have two at least to actually do anything. So I'm gonna test it again with three to see if it makes a difference at all. I just quit because my two defense debuffers can't hit them because they're like front line only and they're like blocking. So we're gonna try with three. Remember, with two it was 2100, so we'll see if that changes at all. And I really wish I brought more Fury Thieves, because this is kind of ridiculous. It's taking forever. Alright, I'm gonna apply this shield just so I can use all the skills. So I'm gonna apply all three defense debuffs and see if it changes. So before, with 250s, it was 21,000 for Jester. So we'll see if that changes at all. Okay, so Jester will use his skill, and oh great, a crit. Thanks. Why do you always crit when I don't want it to crit? Okay, we'll do this again. Still have 3 debuffs applied. Please don't crit. $37,000. So as you can see, with 3 debuffs, it's useful. Now I don't know up to what point they stop being effective. I've basically run out of defense debuffers. I don't have any more that I actually consistently use in my main formation. I typically only use 2, but as you can see, 3 is useful. But at a certain point, it does drop off. I think that was the same thing with the attack debuff that I tested before. But anyway, the focus of this is that defense debuffs do actually work in Mythic Raid, but you need more than one. If you only have one, I highly doubt it will be of any use, unless it's Sarah, who has a costume that debuffs by 80%. Maybe the 80% debuff is more than the 250s combined. I don't know how the system calculates the defense debuff. Is it like applied like on top of each other, or is it just like all added up together and then applied? I don't know. But if you have a Sarah with an 80% debuff, test it out and let me know so we can figure out how the hell it actually works. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Peace.